then pray for Angie Dose. I say Angie Dose because I think she was she the valedictorian today at UB? I'll probably see it tomorrow, I guess. They have a thing today. I think she spoke today, correct, at the UB? Okay, at the nursing thing there. Yeah. And she also said that, when it came to the awards, each one of the girls, those were tops in their categories. Bethany, Grace, they were all tops, and we were just proud of those students as they go through UB and whatnot, and they could stand their ground. So we call that a privilege and an honor as they stand out. So, okay, he said he's ready. So we're going to shut the lights off for the front and let you listen to this. I think I'll comment as it goes along.
Languages and histories.
This is the West Indies, or the
Caribbean region,
Caribbean.
with its diverse cultures, languages and histories, is home to several different currencies used by its various countries and territories. These currencies are the backbone of their respective economies, facilitating trade and commerce, and serving as a symbol of national sovereignty. The Caribbean currencies come in different forms, with some countries adopting their own currency, while others use the currency of a more dominant country or international currency, such as the US dollar or euro. Each currency has its unique features and designs, as well as, of course, its value. Understanding the diverse Caribbean currencies, their histories, and their current status is crucial to comprehend the region's economic landscape and the challenges and opportunities faced by the various countries and territories. So today, we will address the various currencies you will find across the Caribbean region and rank them in terms of their strength. First, we start our intricate list with the Guyanese dollar, which is $210.96 to $1 US, the weakest currency on our list. Yes, $1 US is equal to 210 of Guyanese dollars, but that doesn't mean it does not have much value. The Guyanese dollar was first introduced in 1839, and it has undergone several changes over the years. The current version of the currency was introduced in 2011 and features images of national symbols such as the national bird and the national flower. Despite its pretty look, the Guyanese dollar is not a widely traded currency and is primarily used for domestic transactions within the country. In reality, it is not commonly acceptable outside of Guyana.
No, sir.
It can even be difficult to exchange for other currencies outside of Guyana.
You're right.
The Guyanese dollar is also considered a floating currency, meaning that its value is determined by the supply and demand in the foreign exchange market, and so too is its exchange rate. Unlike fixed exchange rate systems, where the value of a currency is pegged to a specific exchange rate with another currency or commodity, a float currency's value is free to fluctuate based on market forces. As Guyana continues to develop its natural resources, including oil and gas reserves, it is expected that the value of the Guyanese dollar will continue to evolve.
That's the lowest.
On our list, we have the economic giant, that is Jamaica. The Jamaican dollar would therefore be considered the second weakest currency in the Caribbean, with $1 US being equivalent to 154 Jamaican dollars. First introduced in 1969, the Jamaican dollar is subdivided into 100 cents, although cent denominations are no longer in use as of 2018, meaning that cash transactions are rounded to the nearest dollar. While the currency is the primary currency used in Jamaica, it is also accepted in some neighboring countries, such as the Bahamas and Cayman Islands, and can be easily exchanged in other Caribbean countries. Like the Guyanese dollar, the Jamaican dollar is also a floating currency, meaning its value can be heavily influenced by Jamaica's economic and political situation, as well as the global demand for the country's currency. As a result, the country's currency has progressively been getting weaker, with the current exchange rate being the highest the country has experienced. We now move to our next currency, the Haitian gourd, which is the official currency of Haiti. While Haiti may be considered the poorest country in the Western Hemisphere, its currency is not the weakest. $1 US is equal to 149.73 Haitian gourds as of the time of this production. Similar to our previous currencies, the Haitian gourd is a currently experiencing a crisis with its currency, Suriname. Historically, the Surinamese dollar has been pegged to the US dollar by the country's central bank, and as such, the exchange rate was fixed at 7.4 Surinamese dollars to $1. However, meeting certain criteria placed a heavy burden on the country's central bank, and in January 2021, changed the new rate to 14 Surinamese dollars, essentially halving the value of the dollar to other foreign currencies. The new limit too was unsustainable and has led the country to further and further devalue its currency in an attempt to relieve its central bank, which has led the country to drop to 21 to the US dollar, and now removing the fixed rate to allow it to float like other currencies, which now puts the Surinamese dollar at 33.66 to $1. This has led to an economic tool on Suriname and a complex topic on that subject, but keep an eye out as we tackle that subject in more detail. Next is the Cuban peso, which is 24 to $1. The history of Cuba and its relation to the international world order is a complex subject for another video. But the Cuban peso is still a little complex. Before January 2021, Cuba had two simultaneous currencies. From 1994 to 2020, the Cuban peso was co-circulated with the Cuban convertible peso, which was a currency mainly used by tourists and outsiders in the country, and was convertible to and fixed against the US dollar. There were strict parameters around who could exchange this currency. However, from the 1st of January 2021, Cuba implemented the so-called Day Zero of monetary unification, which abolished the Cuban convertible peso and left only the Cuban peso as legal tender in Cuba. A new exchange rate of 24 Cuban pesos to $1 became the applicable rate and is where it currently stands. Next up, we have the Trinidad and Tobago, which has had its own currency since 1964. There is not much to be said about the Trinidad and Tobago dollar, which is a good thing when it comes to currencies. The country's currency is a floating currency and has been a stable float currency for more than 20 years, with the current exchange rate being 6.78 Trinidad and Tobago dollars to $1. We now come to the most used currency in the Caribbean, or the currency which serves as the legal tender for most Caribbean countries, the Eastern Caribbean dollar. The Eastern Caribbean dollar is the official currency used in 8 countries located in the Eastern Caribbean region: Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda, Dominica, Grenada, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Lucia, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. have established their own currencies, allowing them to chart their own monetary policy. Others have decided to adopt the currency of other nations, which are stronger and of a level of stability. Check out this video of the 10 Caribbean countries most indebted to the IMF. Overall, the currencies of the Caribbean are an essential aspect of
Thank you, Brother Mark.
development and play a crucial role in the daily lives of its people.
Okay, great. And so where does the Bahamas rank? Third, okay. Number one, of course, is my close friends from Catch the Light from Grand Cayman, 82, I guess. Yeah, turn on the front lines for me there. And as we go through it, you begin to pick up different things where we are. I've traveled most of the Caribbean. Of course, my wife from St. Martin. You have two currencies there that's going on all the time. Well, actually three. And so it's very, very interesting as you go from one Caribbean island to the next and you see what's going on. But I wanted you to see that to understand position where we were, and also need to understand what our currency is tied to. Okay? So some people think the Bahamas is out there on their own. We're supposed to be, but you know what? We are tied where? To the United States. We're tied to the U.S. And that means that sometimes you and I got to pray. Because the United States is not God. So things can go down, and so you could get mad with Biden and get mad with Trump and all that. What you're doing is tied, what we're doing is tied to them. So I just want you to know that. Sister Rochelle come, and she's going to now focus on our next speaker tonight. We've been enjoying ourselves, and again, I appreciate the program that she has put together and the various speakers, and as they come and share. Amen.
Good night, everybody. So the other day I was to work, and one of my coworkers asked me why I was smiling. So I said, my speaker, I put down her name, and I ain't tell her yet. So what I can do, I can walk up to her and say thank you. And then when she asks me, I can say for volunteering to speak tonight. So she said, you can do that for true? I said, yeah. So, but then, you know, when she was coming out the kitchen, I called her, I said, what you doing Wednesday after next? And she was like, oh, can I have you down for a speaker? So she said, okay. So my coworker said, it easy like that? She said, for Pastor Dave Adams, I'll show up. And then I was like, okay. So that's how easy it was. But I want to introduce our speaker tonight. It is my pleasure to introduce her. She is a certified public accountant by profession. She holds the position of Director of Administration at the Bahamas Development Bank. She is a wife, a mother, but most of all, she's a Christian. She's my supervisor. And on top of that, she was an active member of New Testament Baptist Church. I remember singing in the choir and singing specials back in the day, so we did not take off the church roll either, like we didn't take the other guest speaker. So tonight she will come and speak on one of the advantages of having a boss who is a CPA. I don't do numbers. So when things happen in the bank, I just write the words and then send it to her to do the calculations, because all us can go to jail if I have to do the calculations. So that's one of the great things. So I invite Miss Garnell Pelecanos to now come and speak to us.
Okay. Good night, everybody. So this can be a good one. Oh, I gotta look this way. You need a TV right in the back there. Good night, everybody. Thank you, Rochelle, for that introduction. I have to stand up here. I need to stand up here so you could hear me good, because my mouth ain't big enough. Yeah. Okay.
The right eye?
Huh? The right eye stronger, yeah. Okay. I'll do that. I like to walk around. I got one around. Okay. All right, so Rochelle is gonna give you some handles. Hi, Dasha. How are you? Good. first thing. So Rochelle asked me to speak on creating a business. Well, thank you very much. There you go. Rochelle, you need to bring me one handle too, so I could tell them what page I'm referring to. So I wanted to start out with the premise that, thank you, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. So she asked me to speak on business development, small business, starting a small business. So the first premise that anytime I speak, I always say is that, number one, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. That should be our focus. But would I point that, Pastor there? Number two, every problem is an opportunity. So, especially in Nassau, you go around as you interact, you could get frustrated by some of the businesses that you see happening, or the lack of business, or the lack of service. As opposed to getting frustrated, what we should keep in mind is that every problem that we identify is an opportunity for you to get in business. So, if your world is full of problems, then your world is full of opportunities. So everything we do, keep in mind two things. We're trying to leave an inheritance for our children's children, and every problem that we encounter is an opportunity for you to get in business. I might have skipped. What you have here, don't make copies. It's my proprietary document. I'm going to have this registered trademark. But I'm giving you guys a sneak preview. So what you have here is what I call the 5 steps to business formation. So what I'm going to go through each one of these so that we recognize what it is. And you will see that I have it in the form of a step. I'm not artistic. So everything is boxed. So Rochelle is not numbers, and I'm not creative or artistic. This is the best I could do. Color coded for you guys. So number 1, conceptualize. Write out your vision. Number 2, organize. Do your research. 3, recognize. You do that by training and pre-screening. Number 4, strategize. Develop a business plan. And number 5, mobilize. And that is your funding and implementation. So let's go over step 1. Oh, I might be going too fast, I might be clicking too much, Okay, there you go. All right. I get it. Conceptualize. What is vision? The ability to think about or plan the future with imagination and a black screen across that innovation. And because I read the New Testament, I always know that I need to put a scripture behind everything I say. So Habakkuk 2:2, write the vision and make it plain. Yeah, Pastor Dave used to, if you say, I feel like so-and-so, no, you can't feel. What is your scriptural basis for that? So I feel like the ability to think about a planned future with imagination, and the scripture for that is Habakkuk 2:2. Write the vision and make it plain. Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. So where do I get this wisdom from? So where do I get the wisdom from for my vision? James 1:5, if any one of you lack wisdom, you should ask God, who gives generously to all. And what do I do with my vision? Anybody? Let me see if anybody's paying attention. What do I do with my vision? Write it down. I got my crew right over here. I always like to identify where my crew is. Yeah, smiling at me, Tasha, but you ain't saying that, and I need you to contribute here. Yeah. What do I do with my vision? I write it out. Let's be clear. Your vision must be tied to your purpose. It's just easier. It's just easier if you tie your vision to your purpose, because if we're here for a purpose, if you've identified your purpose, it's very easy to develop your vision according to your purpose. It's not working for me. I'm pressing, it's not clicking. Did I go back? Okay, there you go. Well, okay, so we're trying to. So somebody in the back there moving the slides, cause Dr. Burke, I could do that. Okay. I'm gonna rest that down for now. So, vision. What can you do? Anytime you want to go into business, I think that there are three things that you could decide to do. You could decide to solve a problem, you could decide to enhance something that's existing, or you could create a need or a want that people didn't even know that they have, and you create that need or want, and then all of a sudden that's something that they need to have. And think about it. Decades ago, we didn't know that we needed a cell phone. Now we can't do without having a cell phone. So I always tell the story about the guy who he was a multi-millionaire, and he was the paid phone, right? He was in Florida. He had a network of paid phones, and he said one day he woke up and he was poor because the cell phone came and then there was no need for a pay phone anymore. He didn't pivot. So when you look at business and when you look at what it is you're going to do, enhance the existing. So that was the paid phone existed. We didn't enhance it. It needed to be mobile. And so he needed to pivot. So we get in business, and the key to that is we don't just stay with one thing. We have to pivot when it's time to pivot. And how do we know when to pivot? If any man lack wisdom, let him ask of God. It's still not working for me. Yes, please. Next slide. I'm going to do that next slide. I so don't like when people speaking and they be like, next slide. But I'm going to do the next slide today. Okay, the types of opportunities. Either you could participate in the existing market, or you could do import substitution, or you could do the export market. So if you turn to the second page of your slide, where you see the evolution of the local Bahamian market, basically, if you decide that you want to participate in the local market, that big blue, thank you for making this colored, Rochelle, the last guys did not have this color, it was black and white, and you couldn't tell the difference between my slides. So the local Bahamian market, where you see that one big pie, so let's say that's what it existed. And then we had some new entrants, and so it came in and we split the money. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So everybody getting a smaller piece of the same pie. And then on the third slide, we have some more. We have now on this one, we have 15 SMEs, small and medium enterprises. And they all getting a piece of this exact same pie. If you go according to, if you decide that I want to opt into the local market, you just have to bear in mind that you are participating in the same economy. You're fighting for that same dollar. You all know we got 10,000 beauty supply places here. At first, I remember when I first came to Nassau, we only had Stardust. And now we have 1 million people fighting for the same dollar. Stardust no longer exists. So you could decide whether you want to just limit yourself to the local market. You could decide whether you want to sell something that's being imported now. And if you look on your next slide, for the import substitution market, we import a lot. We even import a lot of food. So in Q1 2018, food and live animals is $138.8 million. Or we could grow chicken and sell it, like Abigail Big Bird is doing. Beverages and tobacco, $26.2 billion. So we could continue to do that, or we could do Switzer, like Switzer and Limeade are doing. So you could decide that something that's being brought in, I am going to replace that. The government has been good about supporting local businesses, throwing some tariffs on people. So if you're bringing in lemonade from other people, they can cost you plenty of money because they can throw some extra taxes on there to try to support the local government, local production. We have manufactured goods 127.4, machinery equipment 172. So just pick a category. Just look at something that's being brought in and say to yourself, yes, I'm going to produce this thing. I'm going to focus on this thing. And wherever they're getting this orange juice from, I can make orange juice. Wherever they're getting chickens from, I am going to grow chickens. Wherever they're getting eggs from, I'm going to grow eggs. The government has this big project now that it's doing with BAIC called the Yoke Project, and they are having individual farmers grow and feed into the egg production. I think it's $20 million worth of eggs or something that we import on an annual basis. It's just as simple as that. You just pick something and make it, and just locate your market, target what it is that you want to do, and do it. And the next slide says export market. So food and live animals, this is all we doing though. So look at what we're importing. In food and live animals for Q1, 138.8 million. That's the first quarter. And how much did we export? Only 18.7 million. So we're not exporting anything much. Now for the Bahamas, tourism dollars are considered export. So if you get into anything that's tourism related, that would be considered you getting into export market because it's bringing in US dollars. So the tourism industry is there. It's thriving. It is still has lots to be tapped, and there's still ecotourism. All the tourists come here, they complain that they have nothing to do, nothing authentic to do. You could create experiences. They're looking for authentic Bahamian experiences. They're looking for authentic Bahamian goods. You just gotta pick something. You gotta pick something that you do and that you could sell. So my friend here in the red shirt, I saw that light bulb go off in his head just now. He thought about something that he is thinking about doing. There, if you mean to get into business, you could get into business. It is not as difficult as we think. Except though, if you working and you making plenty money and you need no additional income. Anybody? At all. One person in the back there. Rochelle and cutting your pay. That was you. Answer your. Oh, that's Maxine. Okay, Maxine. Yeah. Okay. And so, unless that's the case, and I personally know nobody who experiencing that or who gonna admit to experiencing that. So yeah. So additional streams of income. Basically, unless you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, anybody? You? Silver spoon? No? Okay. Unless you're born with a silver spoon in your mouth, the more streams of income we have, the better it is for us all. That's the only way we can make it. It's the only way we can jump levels. That's the only way we can go from this particular economic level to the next particular economic level. Now, Mark, you doing my slides to me? You doing my slides to me? I don't even know where I was before. What number was I on? Anybody? Yeah, I think you're going too far. You 3, 4, go back. Types of opportunities. Okay, good. So we looked at each particular market. Now you could go to the next one, please. Good. So on my... I don't see organized. That must have got lost somewhere in there. Do your research. And don't just do research with your friends and your buddies, right? And say what it is that they like. Now, if you only planning on selling to your friends and your buddies, then so be it. But if you want a bigger audience, if you want to not limit yourself and not limit your customers, don't be lazy. Do your research. The University of YouTube, Pastor Dave just did a whole documentary. So I had to do finance class to get that same documentary at UB, whether it's just put you through the ringer. Side note, but we got it in 14 minutes. So do not be afraid to go and look, see what other people are doing. You don't necessarily need to reinvent the wheel. Go and do some research into other Caribbean islands, into the U.S., into any place regional. See what it is that they are doing, and see if that's something that could work here. The African Exim Bank has been. They're here now. They've been trying to get a presence here. They are very keen on financing the diaspora now because they recognize that we from Africa, and so they're trying to get some money out to African regions. All the countries in Africa doing crazy things in terms of exports, and they are a huge market. Like, we think of just the U.S. and trying to get into the U.S. when we have people in other continents who want to do business with us, and it's not as difficult as we think. The Bahamas has liaisons. We have consulates. We have emissaries over there that are thinking about us and advocating for us if that's something that we want to do. So the opportunities are there. So long story short, lots of opportunities, but we have to open our mind, and we have to start thinking outside of, I can give me some clothes, and I can sell these. Like somebody on Facebook selling them for $20, I can sell it for $19.99. That could work if that's all that you want to do. And don't get me wrong. In the MSME environment, you have micro, small, medium, and medium. So you could fit into any one of those. And my friend in the red shirt, I just love all that energy that he giving me over there, paying attention. So when you're young, you could start out micro, and so that you could build and develop and learn and grow and pivot, and so that you may start out as micro and you could end up as large. It all depends on you. So the third thing, recognize training and pre-screening. So it's not as difficult. I keep saying it's not as difficult as we think, because people think getting into business is such a difficult thing, and people doing it all the time. Like, everybody out there doing it all the time. So there are private sources for training, Bahamas Chamber of Commerce, online classes. There are bank, Fidelity, Royal Bank have business advisory services. There's registered training institutions, various academic institutes. There are pop-up business advisors and seminars, personal business advisors, and life coaches, otherwise known as pastors, but life coaches. Government and non-government agency. We have the SBDC. Who all knows about the Small Business Development Center? Anybody? Not one person. Okay. So the Small Business Development Center was instituted by the government maybe 3 or 4 years ago. Small SBDC, as it's called. They are all throughout the Caribbean and all throughout the U.S. to help people with business support. So developing business plans. They run courses on accounting, on IT, just general training for those people that want it. So you don't have to know how to write a business plan, but you could register with SBDC. You could help share the idea. You do the research. They will put you with an advisor and develop your business plan for you. I'm shocked that nobody knows the Small Business Development Center. They giving out millions of dollars, y'all. They giving out millions. They're guaranteeing money. So they have a $50 million government guarantee program now, where they guarantee your your funding facility with a bank. So the government has borrowed $50 million from IDB and using that money for small business development and small business support. They also give out grants. They had their the Women in Entrepreneurship grant that just closed, I want to say 3 weeks ago, where they were giving out grants to women in business. It's up to $10,000. They had a creative industry grant that they ran a couple months ago for anybody that's in the orange economy at all. So anything creative, whether you whether you are artist, tattoo, anything. Once you use your creativity. They had a couple of years ago. They had an agriculture and fishing grant that was up to 50 million. So stalk their website. Their website is www.accessaccelerator.org, and they always advertise and make a really big deal about the programs that they are offering, and take advantage of whatever opportunities there are. They are rolling out a youth entrepreneurship grant in a few weeks as well. So I need 1, 2, 3, 4 y'all. On top of that, don't waste the time on social media. www.accessaccelerator.org. I ain't see nobody right now. Your memory must be really good. www.accessaccelerator.org. Got it. Okay. BAIC and BAMSI. BAIC has a service where they allow you to where they do business plans for you as well. UB, IECA, Inter-American Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, and IDB. IDB has a lot of, Inter-American Development Bank has a lot of courses online that you could do. So, no excuse. The training is there. What you don't know, you could know, if you are willing to know it. Can I get my next slide, please? Almost there, y'all. We in the middle of the step. 2 more steps and we're done. Strategize, formulate a plan. A written document that contains the nature and the purpose of the business, the sales and marketing strategy, all those things there. You don't have to know how to do this personally, but there are lots of templates on the internet. Go on there, try to fill it out yourself. But the government has lots of free business plans. That's not like a commercial I used to hear. Free money, the government has free money. So you could get assistance with your business plan if you are really interested. So some of the programs call for full business plans. Some of the programs call for executive summaries. And this is stuff that you could do because you know what it is that you want to do. We just can't be lazy. Like, our problem is laziness. Like, seriously. They would run these programs and run these grants, and they would have 2,000 people start the application, and maybe 800 or 1,000 people finish the application. Because we can't sit down and I'm thinking what else you could be doing that day that can earn you $10,000 while you can't finish the application. But we have people who started, don't finish it, not be they. Have people who started and can't finish it, or who don't even bother to start it. That's fine, you know. You just can't be over here complaining but you ain't got no money because the opportunity is there. A business plan is intended to be used as a roadmap for decision making, strategizing, and instruction. So it's not just something you put on paper and submit and say, okay, tick the box, I did that. No, that's actually literally supposed to be your road map, your Bible. I can't say that. I don't want be sacrilegious, but basically, that for your business, that's what that is. That's your guide. That's your directory for where your business needs to go. Can I have my next slide, please? Number 4. Number 4. Go by. One more. There you go. The business owner must be intimately knowledgeable and familiar with the business plan. So I sit on the SBDC investment committee sometimes when they call me, and it would be a fabulous looking plan, I must say. Colorful, shiny, got all the bells and the whistles and everything. And then we call the people we say, okay, say about your business, and they'll be talking. And as soon as you ask them one question, well, that's what the accountant put, or that's what the advisor put. No, that's your business. You gotta be intimately knowledgeable and involved with your business plan. You gotta know it. You can't let somebody put something on paper that you are not convinced of, because it'll stay right there on the paper and it will not go anywhere. So the plan must be thorough, but it must be realistic, informed, accurate, and most of all adaptable. Just like I said about payphone guy, we got to be able to adapt and pivot and move forward. Now, next slide, please. Number 5. Mobilize funding. So, what are the funding sources? So, every time I speak, everyone will be like, yeah. But how I get this money to do this thing? Okay. What are funding sources? Personal savings for those of us who have personal savings. For those of us who do not have personal savings, we'll move on to the next one. Family and friends. But we ain't doing that. Going to your mommy, your brother, your cousin, and just saying, I want to start a business, give me some money. That's not how it works. It's 2023 that we done past that now. If your sister give you money, she buying an interest in your company. If your brother give you money, they're not doing it for free. And me ain't giving no loan and not paying back, is what is that? What's that scripture, Pastor Dave? The wicked borrow and pay it not again. Yeah, we ain't doing that. So crowdfunding. So what crowdfunding is, and it's a fancy name for what we used to do anyway. Like when we was in high school, so we would if we needed $50 to go buy pizza, like all of us, everybody come and put in 5. We go get the pizza, we share it. It's the same thing with businesses. You get a group of your guys and say, it's 10 of y'all. I can need this $500, not one of us have $500, but each of us could come up with 50. We all want a part of the business. So they have really fancy ways of doing it now. We have ROX and some other guys who are doing crowdfunding, but you could do crowdfunding yourself. You could do crowdfunding at your church. You could have 20 like-minded people who believe you pitch, and they believe in whatever you selling, whatever business you're talking about, and everybody could invest. That's an easy way to do crowdfunding. There are some angel investors around. You don't hear a lot about them, but they're there. And then there's debt financing, which Pastor Dave doesn't like. And then there's equity. I'm going to skip over that one. You see how I'm skipping over that one, Pastor Dave? Yeah. And then there's equity financing. So equity financing, basically, the institution will get a share of your business. They will front you the money, but they'll get a share of your business. There is a way that you opt out of it after a certain time. So they'll have like venture capital fund, for example, which I have on our side. They have after 3 years, you get to buy out. So you don't have to pay. You don't have to be paying a monthly payment, but they get their money back. They would have helped somebody get in business. Everybody happy. If your business fails, and whatever the ownership percentages that they have, 60, 70, 20, whatever percentages, the business is sold, and that's how the money is split. So some funding institutions are commercial banks, credit unions are funding. There's some crowdfunding websites. Deltec Bank was giving out grants to young people the other day. I was shocked, but they had some rich people who wanted to be benevolent, and they gave out grants. So got to be stalking the internet for the right reason, and to look for these opportunities. Bahamas Development Bank, that's where Miss Rochelle works. They give out money sometimes, micro loans, not give out loans, micro loans. Venture Capital Fund, which is the equity arm. Small Business Development Center, which I mentioned before, they give out grants. And even the Ministry of Youth had a Fresh Start program up to $5,000 young people between 18 and 25. So, if you mean to get into business, you will find a way to get into business. The opportunities are there. Can I get the next slide, please? Implementation plan. So, I come up with my idea. I want to do something. What am I going to do? Implementation plan, you have to write it down again. How am I going to get from just thinking about this to actual business? Write down your step-by-step activities, your target date. So I write down my step-by-step activities. Apply for a business plan, step one. Business license. Which date? I planning on doing that on. Second thing, write a letter to the ministry. I don't care how simple it is, step by step. Write it down in your implementation plan. Put your target dates for each activity on the side of it. And then when you actually achieve it, the achieve dates for each activity, put that on the side of that. So you can see basically if you're serious or you're joking, right? So if you say I'm going to apply for a business plan and you put that down for June 1st, and then you see you ain't do that till September, you joking. Like, you might as well stop wasting everybody's time. But if you're serious, it'll help to keep you on track. Celebrate your achievements. So when I see this, my good friend, y'all, Miss Tiffany Monica, that's my writer. This my friend. So when she applied for, in the business license process, it's a name approval. It's the first thing that you do. So she wanted to start a business and she applied for the name approval and they give it back to you in 48 hours. And when she got it, she called me and said, "Oh, Garnell, I got my name approval," right? So we had to celebrate that little win. So you celebrate all of your achievements to encourage yourself to move on to the next thing that's on your list. Then you turn around and evaluate your outstanding items. If you say you're going to apply June 1st and you see September you won't apply yet, you really going to need to evaluate whether you want to do this or whether you don't want to do this. Or if it's something later on in your list that maybe you try to do and it wasn't working, then make the adjustment. And then continue until all items on your implementation plan are achieved. Continue, modify. You got to look, count the cost, recount the cost, reevaluate until you get it done. So, thank you. Thank you for that slide. You're on top of things. So I saw that there is nothing better for a person than to enjoy their work because it is their lot. Ecclesiastes 3:22. And all hard work brings a profit, but may I talk? Leads only the property. Thank you very much. Right? So stop talking and start doing. Yes. Thank you very much for your attention. I thank you, sir, for giving me good full support. So I always like to pick out my stars. This is star. That's a star. That's a star. That's my boy. I feel like he's gonna start a business. So thank you all very much. Thank you everybody for your support. Oh, any questions? I'll take some questions. Yes, ma'am. So the grant you do not pay back. A grant you don't have to pay back. The business loan you have to pay back. Sorry. Pardon me? Need to learn to pay the business. Yeah, at the bank we get 50% delinquency. So yes, they do. So, Wilton, it depends on the program. So you will apply. So let me tell you what SPDC has. SPDC has straight out grants, And so they have a window for those, and it'll be aimed at certain things. Like I say, the women one just gone, the youth one is coming up. So you'll have a window of opportunity where you could apply. They also have what they call a matching grant where they give up to $20,000, but you have to get a loan for the same amount or more. So they have all of the links right on their website for whichever one it is that you want to apply for. So yes. And then they turn around. So we did one the other day, and she got $18,500 grant, and she got an $18,500 loan. But the government guarantees for certain industries between 75 and 90% of the loan. So if she defaults at the bank, the government pays the bank up to 75 to 90%. So the banks are more minded to lend on that basis because basically their money secured. Yeah. Yes, sir.
I'm not the youthful man I used to be, so to speak.
Right.
So this loan business in a recovery program, I used to be a fisherman,
Yes.
local fisherman diver,
Mhm.
but unfortunately, like the homestead in Grand Bahamas and stuff, we lost in a hurricane from Freeport, and then
I'm from Freeport.
You are there too? Yeah,
Yes.
I went to school St. Paul's in Freeport.
Hawksville.
Hawksville, yeah. I knew plenty of people from Hawksville, Freeport, all over.
Hawks for life, yeah.
Yeah.
Continue, go ahead.
Hawksville was a good school
Yeah,
back then.
there you go.
But my problem is like age,
Right.
and after a certain time, by faith, if I graduate, the problem depends on how the Lord leads. One of my talents was I used to be a commercial fisherman and diver, but I don't really, at my age, I don't want to go on no big stressed out scale, but I still want to be able to survive and make a living that I know that I can do. But now, after all the other things that I've been through, I need a start. Do you have any idea for this, let's say the older gentlemen or the older women, how they could get started in a small business that they're still pretty good at?
So fishing is a peculiar one that the government is always trying to encourage people to get into. So I did a stint at the Ministry of Agriculture. We did a $5 million agriculture and fishing grant up to $50,000. So because of your age, a loan will not work for you. So you need a grant opportunity again. You gotta stalk the Ministry of Agriculture, and you gotta stalk SPDC because they are coming out with something for agriculture and for fisheries. So the definition of agriculture in the business space is agriculture and fisheries. So that's crop and fishing. So anytime you see a program that's running for agriculture, then you could apply for that. They also gave out lots of money for recovery. You had some of them people who get they only had one boat, but when they then finished talking, they had 6 different boats, and all of those keys in Walker's Key and
Really?
Grand Key, in all of them, Water
Alright.
Key, all of them, all of the eastern, because they had maybe 6 different World Food Kitchen, Rotary. They had about 8 NGOs that was in Grand Bahama just helping the fishermen in agriculture. Yeah. So you gotta stay in tune. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Good evening.
Hi.
It's about 5,000 students coming out of school this year, right? And this is a church school. What I'd like to ask, I can remember, I think this was back in 2011, if I'm correct, the young gentleman who owned the Bahamas striping.
Right.
The government gave them a $5,000 grant without payback, right?
Right.
I really asking this for the younger generation, what's coming out of school this year, right? That's still in existence?
I think they got theirs from that same Ministry of Youth Fresh Start program that I had mentioned. I think that's where they started. And then they got the balance of their money from the Venture Capital Fund. So, yes, all of those are still in existence. Yes, sir. I know you was gonna do it. I know you was gonna ask a question.
Good night. Y'all still giving out the coolers and umbrellas and the money for people who want.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure about that one. I know I heard about that as well. That was during the pandemic, and I don't remember who that was. That might have been Ministry of Youth. I could find out. I'll find out if it's still happening, and then I'll tell Rochelle for you. I'll tell Rochelle. I'll tell Miss Smith, Sister Smith. I can tell Sister Smith, and then she can tell you. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
If not, Sister Smith can write that check for you. But you need a cool and umbrella. Couple cutlets. You want to ask him for much at all? I'm by. Huh? You need to handle the permit for him. Handle the bedless permit for him.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, I want to say thank you to Mrs. Pelecanos for a very informative presentation. I want to also publicly thank her for her support in and out the office because, you know, not everybody could call their boss and they could come out on the night service in church to give a presentation, so I thank you very much for that. If y'all have any other questions, we just ask, we'll try and find out. I could go to work and bottle. I send a WhatsApp and get the answer. If there's any other topics that y'all would like for us to address, please let us know, and so we can try and put it together before Pastor cut us off with this session, this financial session. But if anybody have any, is that it? Something? Okay, yes, sir? Yeah. Okay. Okay, yes. I just have to find a speaker. I appreciate the suggestions. We just have to find a speaker that is their profession, so that they're giving up-to-date information, the right information. And I'm going to tell you that because as an attorney, if we go to court and that law is no longer in effect and we don't know, the judges say, not the customer pay. The attorney, you have to pay the law legal fees because you should have known better. So that's the rule I'm going to follow. I got to find a professional to do that for you. Okay? Any other questions? Any other suggestions? Okay, like I said, thank you very much to my supervisor and to each and every one of you for coming out tonight. I hope the information that you take advantage of it. Grants, we do not pay back. Government guarantees some grants, so if the bank come calling, the government jump out and pay, so we don't have to come after you for all the money or any money in some cases. Yes, Joey. I almost certain it was a grant that they didn't have to pay back, but like Mrs. Pelecanos said, so Access Accelerator or SBDC always doing something like, you know, they had the creative grants earlier, so you could get $5,000. They had the solar energy grants, you get another $5,000. Then they had the one for women, you got $10,000. So they're always giving out grants. They give a list of industries or businesses that you could qualify under. So if your grant or your business falls under it, just apply. Yes, sir. You was asking a question? So the grants wouldn't be enough for you to start the restaurant. Yes. Yes. And it depends on how much you're looking for, but more than likely the answer is yes. What do you call? So what you call small? Remember, we work in a bank, so what is small? Again, I think it's going to be based on your age. Most banks don't lend you, the loan term can't be over age 60 because of the life insurance involved. They don't. So if you are over age 60, you probably would not qualify for a loan at a bank. If you are close to age 60, your payment's going to be high because they need to finish it by age 60.
So what you tell me in this day and time, I can't have a vision like Colonel Sanders.
You can have a no, okay, no. You actually can have a vision. Remember, Ms. Pelecanos said that there are angel investors out there. So an angel investor is somebody who have money and they would fund your business for you at a percentage instead of a bank. So there are opportunities out there. You have other businesses. People look for business opportunities. So if somebody, like you said, in Africa want to get into a fishing business in the Bahamas, they will partner with you. It just wouldn't be with a commercial bank. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Pastor?
Again, there was much to learn, much to absorb, and again, another very good program presented. So hopefully you got something out. We're trying to do this so that you get some ideas, and I guess all of us, we always say there's still room for improvement, right? And some are absorbing and taking it in, others are kind of going by the way, but they'll figure it out later. Here's an area you might like to get involved in. It's called bodyguard. Okay, let me give you the payments for those who do bodyguards. Okay, Jennifer Aniston. Her network is $300 million, but her protection cost is $240,000 a year. Okay, so that's what she pays her bodyguard. Katy Perry, she has about $330 million. She pays $350,000 a year for bodyguard. So, David and Victoria Beckham, their network is $1 billion. They pay $1 million a year to their bodyguard. Okay, Halle Berry, networks $90 million. They pay $300,000 to their bodyguard. Adele, network $190 million, pays $75,000 a year for his bodyguard. Barbara Streisand, network $400 million. She pays $125,000 to her bodyguard. Bella Hadid, $18 million she makes. She pays $250,000 to her bodyguard. Britney Spears, she makes $59 million. She spends $600,000 for her bodyguard. Kylie Jenner, network $900 million, spends $4.8 million a year for the bodyguard. No, that isn't the one. That's not the one. Taylor Swift makes $290 million a year. Costs a bodyguard $400,000 a year. So I don't know. Maybe those guys may get into power parking, and becoming good at your craft. It'll be interesting to find out what the Prime Minister, Officer Johnson, Superintendent Johnson. The Prime Minister has a bodyguard, correct? But they're all police officers, so that's their regular pay. Oh, my. So they get a little stipend by what? Please listen up. Go ahead. Wow. That's interesting. But we appreciate that. There's a lot of questions. I'm sure the will stuff is coming up, Sister Rochelle. Go ahead.
So if you are, thank you, there are some businesses that are reserved just for Bahamians. So if you're looking at business ideas, you may want to look at those that persons don't have foreign investors, so there wouldn't be a lot of them here, and you wouldn't be competing against foreign owners.
Okay. Good. So good stuff.
Fishing in the Bahamian waters, security services. That's why we don't have international guards over here. They have to be Bahamians doing security services. You would notice that UPS would fly into New Providence, but they're not flying into the Family Islands because they're reserved for Bahamians. So certain businesses. The inter-island transportation, like my mommy lives in the southern Bahamas. Bahamas, there flies there Wednesdays and Saturdays, and the boat goes 3 times a month. So if you need to get supplies down there, or if you're trying to get somebody who can either fly, have a plane, or maybe a boat, a speedboat, could get goods down there because it's open to just Bahamians.
Okay. I guess the bottom line in all this, you got to be dissatisfied with the status quo. You got to come to a place where you say, you know what, I'm not satisfied with what, I'm going to make a move. And Lord, by faith, I'm going to trust you. This is something I believe can work, and go at it. Because God has provided this for us right there. The ending portion of 1 Timothy 6, I think 11, says he had given us all things, what? Anybody knows? Richly to what? Anybody knows? To enjoy. I said, a lot of people got the money and they ain't enjoying it. You know, they're just not enjoying it. So think on those things. Thank you so much, Sister Garnell, for your presentation. It was loaded, it was dynamic, and I'm sure we gained a whole lot from it. And hopefully somebody's going to be motivated. Some quiet person is going to say, I remember this, and they're going to move forward. So get up off your do nothing and do something with what's around you. You can do it. It can be done. You can do all things through Christ. Let's everybody stand. I know a number of you are in businesses, and this is to help you. Some of you are thinking about businesses, and I'm sure this will help you, because I certainly didn't know what Garnell knew. I certainly don't know what Sister Rochelle knew. You know, we're just learning from Darrow and Darren and all those who've spoken already before. So just stuff out there, we're absorbing it, and then be able to use it for the glory of God. Like I say, you worship money, or you can worship with money. Okay? Father, thank you again